Hi everyone, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me Gardening. Today we're starting fall planting with some problem-solving shrubs. Welcome to our garden here in Zone 5B/6A, upstate New York. Today we are adding to our green wall. We already have some really nice plants in here. We call it the green wall because we're just kind of extending the fence forward, but we are using our favorite things, plants. It starts here with the Blue Point juniper. These were actually in our front containers last season. I don't know if you remember that or not, but they were transplanted last fall, and since they've been in the ground, they have done tremendously well. And then that moves us into this trio of North Pole arborvitaes, also in containers last winter. You might remember that we found these on clearance at a local, was it a big box store, Christopher? Home Depot, and they were like maybe $10 each. So we just scooped a bunch up, put them in pots over the wintertime, and this spring we planted them out. They will eventually get about 12 feet tall, maybe 3 feet wide. So we kind of staggered them here. And then this on the end is brand new from Isley. It's called Green Screen. It's a fast-growing arborvitae, kind of like a smaller version of Green Giant. Gets about 3 feet wide, and I want to say like 10 feet tall. Now, we are going to add on another plant here, something we've never planted before. Very excited, but what that's going to entail is taking out a little bit more grass. So we'll kind of go through with you how we remove sod and use the edger. And we might as well, while we're at it, freshen up these edges here and do a little bit of weeding before we get everything planted and into the ground.
Let's go get some plants. We've got them stored in the back for easy watering. This is my favorite gorilla cart. Eric likes the regular one with the 4 wheels. I like this one for this action. Look at how I'm saving my back right there. Isn't that great, Eric? So what we're going to be planting are some very cool shrubs we just got a hold of. One of them I believe is new this year or next year. This has been around for a while. This is called, let me double check, Strongbox. This is an Inkberry Holly. The cool thing about the holly is it's sort of a replacement for a boxwood. These aren't going to get those same diseases or moths that are plaguing boxwoods around the world. Similar shape, similar 2 to 3 foot tall and wide habit, still an evergreen, but you get a little bit different texture.
A little faster growing than boxwoods,
yes,
too.
A little bit faster growing. It's also very resistant to deer, which who doesn't love that in the garden? So we're going to be putting 3 of them in the green wall. And one thing I'm not sure if Eric mentioned is we actually have 2 green walls going at the same time that are identical to each other. So this project is going to be a ×2. Let me put this up here in the gorilla cart. Did we say 3 of them, Eric?
3.
We are also going to be adding in, this might be the plant I'm the most excited for. This is Castle Rouge. This is also a holly, but this is more of that glossy traditional leaf that you think of when you think of a holly. This is a male species, so it will not produce berries, but if we were to put in the female version in the green wall, maybe in our next version of our next addition to the planting, we would get the red berries from this. Very cool. Castle Rouge will put on kind of a reddish new growth, go into this green, and then over the fall, we're going to get kind of a burgundy green color. So I'm very excited to add this in. This grows about 5 to 8 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet wide. So it's going to give us this nice block of shiny, kind of spiny foliage that'll be a great contrast to the green screen arborvitae. Then this precious, very tiny addition. This is something we've never planted. It's a privet called Good Vibrations. I believe this is also a newer variety. One thing I'm excited about adding this in for, especially on the west side, is it's really going to mirror the Shiloh splash variegation and brightness. Great thing about this, you're going to get about 4 to 5 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide, growing in this kind of fireworks way, just for a really bright pop. I think we're going to tuck this in next to those North Pole arborvitaes. That'll be a really nice contrast. So let's pop these in the cart.
As Christopher said, we have never planted any of these varieties before, but I really wanted to take this opportunity to do something cool and mix some textures and colors. So you can see we have this blue of the Blue Point Juniper, really true green of the Strongbox, and then we have the North Pole Arborvitae, which has that brighter green, and they're all different textures, and I think that makes a really nice combination. I'm going to put the third Strongbox over here to show some repetition in the wall, and I'm kind of lining this front row up with this North Pole Arborvitae. Then to add that gold splash, which I think is literally the name of this. Nope, this is Good Vibrations. Good Vibrations. Good Vibrations. I'm going to just put this right here where I think it's going to have plenty of room to get to its full size, because this is only going to come to here, right? And this is only going to come to here. So it's going to be very squished and very full. This is going to be the only deciduous thing we're planting today. And then I think a whole nother texture, and it's going to bring the red tones in. We're going to expand the bed a little bit here to plant this Castle Rouge Holly. So we'll have our reddish tones, our green tones, gold tones, and then our blue tones all together in our green wall.
Not too long ago, I got my hands on a new edger. I love doing the garden edging. I especially like building new edges. This particular edger, I'm obsessed with it because it's a little bit heavier duty than the one I was using. It's got a good amount of space for your foot to go on, which some of the other ones, they don't. I feel like it's gonna cut my foot off. But this one, it goes pretty deep too, which I like so that we can get that nice clean edge. I personally like to go straight down and then I pull up and out. The reason I'm doing that is I want these edges to be nice and straight down, which is going to air prune the grass roots and make it so it's not problematic. Now, I'm going to start my curve here because I do want to make sure there's more than enough room for Castle Rouge to grow. Obviously, this will change shape over time as we add to the wall. We were talking about how this is sort of a awkward area to film because we don't want to be filming everybody else's yards. But this is how we're making just a nice, happy neighborly border between us and the neighbors. All right, that's about right for shape. Then to make this very easy, I'm gonna cut this into some strips. That will allow me to get a grip on it and pull it right up and out without even having to use a shovel. Okay.
And then you just pull.
Then you just reach down and tug. Wow, this is sand. Look at that. I feel like we're at the beach. Looks. All right, so roots layer, the original. This is the shovel version. Obviously, it's a bit of overkill, but I just really want this to loosen up the grass for me. This is going to be satisfying. No!
Good job, Christopher. So what we're going to do now is just make sure that these edges are nice and clean and tidied up. Get any other chunks of grass. Smooth this out as much as possible. We are going to come through and show you how we compost after we plant. And that'll help show you why this is so much deeper than that bed. This is all manure-based compost from a local landscape supplier that we use as mulch. So mixing it into the soil at this point is only going to improve the soil. For something this size, I love the Gardener's Lifetime Trowel. It's called the Lifetime Trowel because it's guaranteed a lifetime. So if it has an issue, you can bring it back to Gardeners and they will replace it. But my favorite thing about it is this nice sharp edge that it has. I don't know if you can see that, but I've been using it all season, so it's a little filthy, as it should be. And I'm just going to go in, kind of mark where I want this, and then dig it out. I'm going to plant this a little bit high. One, because we are going to add the layer of compost as mulch on top, but also this is a lower spot in the ground. And I'm not sure the holly will want to be drowned next time it rains, because you can see that spout right there. That comes from the gutters between our driveway, garage doors. Yes, I could just do this with one scoop with a bigger shovel, but I like to be down in here in the dirt. We also went to Cape Cod this past summer to go to the Hydrangea Festival, and we met with Pamela Vasquez, the head gardener at the Chatham Bars Inn, and she's in charge of those thousands of hydrangeas that you've seen there. And we asked her, you know, what does her planting technique look like? And she said that she always puts 2 handfuls of this Lesco Carbon Pro G in each planting hole. And we are very open to experimenting and trying new things. Everything I looked at online about it said that it's for putting on your lawn and stuff like that. But we're gonna we were inspired by her and how beautiful those hydrangeas look. So we're just gonna try it, see how it goes. We tried it on a couple other plantings earlier in the summer and they're thriving. So this could be like a new thing for us, but time will only tell, right, Christopher?
I agree.
I'm gonna put 2 handfuls in. Something else, mix it into the soil so it's not, you know, full strength. Something else to keep in mind when you're planting broadleaf evergreens like a holly in the fall, even though it's not technically fall for us yet though, is if you're in a colder climate, they suggest you wait until spring unless you're ready to put in the work and really ensure that it's well watered, deeply well watered, all the way through to Thanksgiving, because this over winter time is going to lose a lot of water. So they have a tendency to dry out if they're not kept well watered. Let's check this out. We well watered these last night, so, so it's a little moist. Too low, right?
Just a little too low, yeah.
Not a really solid root ball on this yet. Still a little low. That's a little more or less. Keeping it real, folks.
That looks better.
That looks better. Then we will go ahead, mix in native soil in here. Make sure it's nice and secure. And we're not going to water it in until after we get everything done. Otherwise, we'll make a huge muddy mess in here. Next up, we have our Good Vibrations, and it's ligustrum, something we've never planted before. I'm afraid to take this out just yet because I'm afraid the root ball is just going to shatter, but let's see what happens. Oh, not too bad. It's actually a little crooked in the can, so it'll work out in our favor.
Perfect.
Put this here. Get it in the ground. You can tell the new growth is really pretty. Next is the first of our 3 strong boxes. So this one I'm just lining up kind of with these 2. How do you feel about that?
I think that's a good spot.
Okay. See how that's all starting to break down and enhance the soil? That's what I like to see.
Looks so much healthier with that soil.
Oh, problem number 1, the drainage pipe.
Well, I'm glad you didn't get in there with a shovel after all.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking we'll do,
I think you should go in front of it, not behind.
do you think?
Yes, because the North Pole arborvitae is still going to get about 4 feet.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I know.
So
I get impatient with spacing, so... So no, you're right. So I'll go in front of the drainage pipe, depending on how wide it is. Because I certainly don't want to get into, like, widening the entire bed today. Okay, so we'll go in front of the pipe. I think it'll be totally fine growing right next to the pipe. What do you think?
I don't think there'll be any trouble with that pipe.
Let me just test this. And when, oh, that'll work perfectly.
That'll be really good.
Yeah. And when a plant is this size with this type of root ball, you can get away with manipulating it. I am excited to see how these grow.
I am too. I think they're a really nice shape.
This one I'm going to line up so that it's in line with this one, but just to give a little variation, I'll pop that one back kind of where I was originally planning on putting it.
Perfect.
All right, last one in. We are all set with the planting. What do you think?
I love this combination of textures.
I love it too. So all we have left to do, Christopher, is add the compost to the front by the holly. I'm going to go through and weed a little bit, and then we'll get everything really well watered in. This is our other gorilla cart. Do you know what this one's called?
I think it was like dump cart, I guess it's called. They make them a little bit more sophisticated than ours. We've had this a little bit for a couple years. They have like a different pulley thing so it fully dumps. Ours, you know, it kind of gets stuck when you try to do that.
Now, as far as drip irrigation in this area goes, it's really not necessary for us because this is a very low point in the lawn. And as you can see, that water comes right out of that spout. And it's going to water that holly because we are heading into very, very rainy season right now. I think just a couple more scoops of compost and we'll be well on our way. And then I also have to just kind of get on this edge right here, pull up any of this grass. It's not much of it, but there's enough for it to irritate me. And then we'll tidy it all up and we'll get it well watered in.
Very successful additions to the green wall here. So let's go look at green wall times 2. We started developing the east side a long time ago because there's a big, huge, giant electrical box down here that we wanted to cover up. So this green wall is already much more of a wall. So when we put in that Castle Rouge, it's going to end up being one of the last things that goes between the green screen and the spring grove.
Yeah.
So I guess without further ado, we should get to work. Let's see if we can do some movie magic. Ta-da!
I love it. I'm so excited.
I think this is a wonderful addition to our green wall. The Castle Rouge Holly is going to be a beautiful reddish addition with those glossy green leaves they turn into. the Good Vibrations ligustrum, also known as a golden privet, giving us that bright variegation. That'll be really a nice pop against this green. And then the 3 Strongbox Inkberry Holly, giving us the low, kind of matte foliage, boxwood-like texture up against this blue point juniper with, you know, little like fuzzy looking things, and this will be all matte looking, and this will be green, similar fuzzy things.
I'm excited.
It's gonna look fantastic.
And again, as these are smaller, you know, we planted small shrubs today. We're just going to fill this space with spring bulbs or annuals or, you know, maybe even some more shrubs as we are impatiently waiting for the garden to thrive. Thank you so much for joining us today as we added new shrubs for fall planting. Again, I'm Eric.
And I'm Christopher.
And we're Grow For Me Gardening.
Thanks for growing with us.